Hello, I am Drag, and in today's video, I kind of want to try something a little different, where I just kind of talk over the process and explain why I did certain things. But to get one thing, I know that a couple of you have been waiting for me to post my final Christmas movie review, and I don't think that I'll be able to post it just because it was very negative, and I really didn't have anything positive to say about this movie. I'm not even gonna mention it just because, like, if you've been to my Twitch stream, you know what movie it is. But as far as that goes, I just couldn't, and I didn't want to like post it if I didn't get any enjoyment out of even editing the audio for it. So yeah, that's why I won't be posting that. But yeah, so this is my Chinese New Year's picture, quote unquote. And I remember I definitely had difficulty figuring out how I was gonna do this, because the only two tiger Pokemon are both legendaries, and I couldn't exactly draw like a regional gym leader, or quote unquote, with a legendary Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just not doing a picture this year. And then an artist that I follow on not only TikTok but also Instagram posted a Tornadus drawing, Gijinka. I'm like, ooh, this could work. This could actually work a lot. So that's why this picture came into being the way that it did. While I was sketching him out too, something I think that it was funny came about. I just kinda kept drawing him, and I'm like, ooh, what if this guy was like a god? And then the next thing I knew, he was a Titan, and I briefly touched on what Titans would be in my D&D world. I briefly touched over what it was, but I did have to kind of change that. But they're basically just quote unquote Dynamax, well, Gigantamax Pokemon. But they're not Pokemon. They're human beings and elves and whatnot. It was yeah. And while I was drawing him, I'm like, ooh. And he just kept on getting more and more lore, as things tend to do whenever I draw them, which is definitely a habit that I need to get out of. But even then, like, if you're looking at it, I just started sketching these random little doodles of him. I mean, in actuality, that was just me stalling, but it was also me trying to figure out just like how big this guy would be. Just random stuff. How I could make him the most broken boss to fight against, and make my D&D crew suffer, because you guys know I love to make them suffer. I mean, I guess you guys don't know because you probably didn't know I had a D&D group, but like, yeah, every time I DM for them, one of the things I'm really bad at is balancing out balancing out encounters. And they really do say, like, they say the hardest part about being a DM is balancing out encounters, and I realize that now. Another thing that happened while I was sketching, I mean, while I was doing the line art, was that this guy, I decided that I wanted to sort of show how chaotic his energy really was. I wanted the line art near the top to be smooth, more smooth, and then as it got to the like closer to the bottom of the image, it became more and more just like sketchy, chaotic. And I really do like the final result of how that came out. And any excuse I can use to use my mapping pen to draw is always like a win-win, you know? Unfortunately, this line art definitely took much longer than I had initially intended it to. It took me about, I think it took me about 3 hours, which is normally, like, that's almost triple the time that it normally takes me to line up a simple picture like this. So that I think that definitely says something. But it could have also just been that I was streaming this as well. Streaming normally does double the time that it takes for me to finish a picture, but that's usually just because I'm a bit more distracted, and it's very easy. It's very easy to get distracted when you're streaming, but I mean, that's not a bad thing, but it's not like, it's just a thing, you know? Another design choice that I really do like, that was his tail. Since I wanted to make him the god of Titans, he could technically make anybody a Titan whenever he wanted to. Even though in my universe, Titans are kind of genetic, but it's also just like a lottery thing. So you could have two parents that are Titans, and you actually have a less, like, the child is less likely to be a Titan if both parents are Titans. But I thought that it would be really interesting if his tail would was actually what turned into the clouds that often form over Titans when they're in their Titan form. I should also talk about the tattoos, since the tattoos are part of what made the line art take so long. I really wanted him, while I was drawing him, I realized that he looked kind of plain and barren while I was working on him. And I wanted his design to look more godlike, if that makes sense. So I had to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. And generally speaking, it's like to make them look more like a god or goddess, you break up the monotony that would generally be their mostly nude form. That's the best way I can put it. And I figured I should put some tattoos on there. And while I was also doing the tattoos, for some reason, I decided to give him a giant freaking bead necklace. And you guys should see me drawing that pretty shortly. Oh wait, no, I already sketched it out, but lining that thing took even more time, which was a whole other thing. It was definitely... Ultimately, I'm glad that I did it, but I didn't enjoy it while I was doing it, if that makes sense. Alright, so you're seeing me fill in the necklace now. I was really conflicted on how I was going to make them look, because I was always told that dragons tend to wear necklaces like this, at least in their human forms. But I thought that it made them look a little more powerful, and it really broke up what was effectively just a Djinn, levitating with his arms crossed, So I am ultimately glad that I added these. They add a lot of visual intrigue, at least in my opinion. Should be getting into the coloring at around this point. Coloring him was definitely one of the, I would say, more struggling aspects that I had of this character, because I didn't want him to be just a regular human skin tone. I kind of wanted him to be more demonic looking, if that makes sense. And as I was drawing him, as I was coloring him, I kept realizing that he looked more and more like an Oni. Ooh, okay, this will work. This will work. This will work. I like this. And I really did like how his skin came out. I really like how his colors came out. They really work. At least I think that they really work. And his tail was another thing. I really wanted his tail to look like it was sort of blending in and just kind of creating these clouds that often swirl about, just to show that he is the god of these colossal beasts that are the Titans. And you might be asking, like, why are his eyes like that? I decided at some point to make all the Titans have eyes like that when they're in their Titan forms, just to add this one condition, or to make the condition, or this thing that I gave them called an awesome visage, which basically can stun anybody that looks at them. It's basically the reason why their eyes are like that is just swirling magic and whatnot. Another thing that I actually really like about the aesthetic that Pokemon gave the Gigantamax Pokemon was their undershadowing. I really like that, and so I really want to incorporate that in this particular drawing. So as the god of Titans, or whatever, I imagine that he would always be looking down at somebody, so I really had to make sure to make his, make it look like the light was always coming from underneath him. And on top of that, I had to, it also made his eyes stick out a little more, so I had to be very, very specific when I was coloring his face to keep his eyes in shadow, but also I had to, you guys will see later on, but I had to make sure that his eyes had the right effects on them, otherwise they would just not look the way that I wanted them to. I also had to keep in mind, because I was working with lighter lines than I normally do, so I wanted to have that sort of color extreme with the shadows, but I also had to make sure that they weren't clashing with the lines, because the lines should be, usually in a picture like this, the lines should be the darkest part of the image. And if the colors that you're using to color the subject are darker than the line, then they will stick out in a way that you don't want them to. The clouds. I do need to mention this. When I was shading the clouds, I wanted them to just sort of be part of like the most chaotic. And when I say chaotic, I realize I didn't explain what I meant. I meant using the most amount of lines when it came to not only coloring but outlining them, just to show this insane nature that was these titanized forms. And I really hope that I captured that. But looking at it now, I really do like how the clouds stick out against his tail. So it just it kind of looks like the clouds are coming out of nowhere, but they're also an extension of him, if that makes sense. His, I don't even know what to call that. It's not a kilt, but, whatever. His skirt. I'll call it a skirt. His, that was also definitely something that since it was so close to the bottom of the image, I knew that it had to have the sketchiest lines, as well as his sword. So that was definitely more. I like the way that it came out, though. So yeah, I should be wrapping up the image now. You guys should see me adding the additional shading onto his head and then making the glow dodge on his eyes. I really added the glow dodge to, like I said, make his eyes stick out more. To just show just how terrifying a beast that is 250 feet tall and has celestial power would be. I really do like how this image came out. I am still trying to figure out how this guy would exist in this world. I mean, I have an idea of how he would fit, but you know, I would need more. I would need to see, because he definitely wouldn't just show up in the story, you know. It would be more, what is the lore behind him? But yeah, so that's going to be this video. I don't really know how I feel about this particular style of art video. It's like I know that I enjoy it when other artists do it, but I'm still just kind of experimenting with it. So yeah, that's going to be the video. Like, subscribe, comment below what you think about D&D worlds and whatnot, because that's always a fun topic. And yeah, I will catch you guys next time. Bye.